Strap in and hold on tight. Welcome to Season 7 of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. This year, the questions are as big as the wheel of IL. Are the Dodgers ruining baseball? Are we witnessing a blue-tinted three-peat and a dynasty for the ages? Can the Angels finally find the magic to break their October drought? And is this truly the final year of baseball as we know it? You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Well, you're in the right place with the 2023 IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year, a sister and brother duo, Jana and Jeff. They've been arguing since the dugout, and they aren't stopping now. Join the conversation on Twitter and Blue Sky at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A, and on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A. You can find every episode and more at siblingrivalrybb.com. The lights are on, the chalk is fresh, and it's time to Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast back in your ears after some technical difficulties that driving us up a wall here. Finally got all that squared away and ready a little bit later than normal in the week, but lots to talk about. I basically can blame you, Jana, because
yeah, it's always me. It's always my fault.
You know, we just couldn't get it all figured out. But here we are. We've got a few things to talk about. Something in around baseball that hasn't happened since last July. And I'm going to take full credit for it.
Okay.
When we get there. Of course, this week, it's a new path that we're going to be talking about something completely new. So we'll get to that coming up. Of course, we'll talk about the Dodgers and a few other things. Regionals were all announced, and actually at time of recording some are being played, but we won't talk about who's done what. We'll just get you set up for that. Next week we'll talk about who's won, who lost. But in the meantime, the first shots were fired, and we want to talk about that. Remember that when you're at the website, siblingrivalrybb.com, you can hit the Fanatics link, and you can get all the baseball gear, whether it be college, whether it be pros, whether it be the Dodgers, whether it be the Padres. It's all available right there on either one of our Fanatics links. And click on there, it'll take you right to, well, one of them will take you right to the Dodgers. The other one has not yet been changed last time I looked. So
I just made a note.
She just noted it. All right. So first shots fired in the CBA. The negotiations. We've been talking about this. It's even in our opening promo here. Our opening to the show for season 7. Is this the last season of baseball as we know it?
I hope not. But
will there be baseball next year?
I feel like they're gonna come to an agreement. Now, who's gonna be happier than the other guy? I'm not sure. But baseball is doing really, really well. And I think for either side, however it works out, you can't stop the momentum. And if you stop the momentum with a work stoppage, then you're really gonna, screw up the product that you've been putting out there. And like I said, they've been, Major League Baseball has been doing really well. In 2024, MLB revenues were $12 billion. $12 billion.
Yeah.
And it continues to rise.
But that's not even an issue. the issue that's going to cause the problems. And yes, it does tie back to a salary cap, which we know that the players don't want. That's what caused the last strike. What back in that cost a World Series in '94 and the beginning of '95 is that the owners wanted a cap. But the owners want a cap for one main reason. And it has nothing to do with how good. I mean, they're ready to burn the game down to get what they want. What they want is higher valuation for their franchises. And they lag behind all the other sports, especially football and basketball. I mean, the Padres are on that verge of being sold, and they're being sold for $3.8 billion, which when you look at it, they were bought for like $1 billion.
Right, yeah.
So they're going to make money off of it. The problem is that it's not like what the NFL teams are or the NBA teams. Think about it in this case. The Dodgers, arguably the most valuable franchise in the league, or one of the most,
right,
values at so the 3.8 or 3.6 for the Padres. The Dodgers are worth 7.8 or valued at 7.8 billion. The Dodger ownership, Mark Walters and his group, bought the Lakers for 10 million. And when the Lakers last won a championship in 2020, which is kind of like the Dodgers 2020, it's the bubble championship. It's not like a full season. So people, yeah, but here's almost, 2.5 billion more for the Lakers than the Dodgers. And right now the Dodgers seem to be much more successful than the Lakers. So that's what they really want. They're not, I don't think they care about, and I think the owners are going to look at it and say, well, how many games are we willing to lose? And I think they're willing to lose a lot more if in the end their $3 billion franchise goes to $10 billion, because that's what's important for them.
yeah.
And it doesn't seem to ever matter. The baseball can't ever get out of its own way. And if they do have a work stoppage, and it costs a lot of games, even if it costs a few games, there's going to be some damage to that. But will people come back? And this will also be an issue for the new. This will also be an issue for the new media deals that they want to put together for the whole league. Not everybody has their own networks and stuff, but everybody's under one umbrella coming up here in 2029.
Well, I think it would be helpful. I think just looking at what the MLB has proposed and then what the players have, what they came back with, because they're already starting negotiations. They're starting them now because hopefully we get to December 1st and the owners don't lock the stadiums and lock the players out. And actually, I get it. I understand how it works. But the whole reason the owners, they have a team, they own a team. You can own the team, but if you don't have players, what does it matter?
I don't know. Ask Artie Marino.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing. I talked about this or touched on it last week. Is I really don't feel like the majority of owners in Major League Baseball have a leg to stand on when it comes to negotiations. And but let's look and see what they.
Well, here's one thing that works for the owner's side is the team that's been spending the most and has been um, successful with their spending is the Dodgers.
Right.
Clearly, the Mets have spent a lot of money, but they're not very successful.
Mm-hmm.
But Mark Walters came out and said, "Yeah, we need a cap." Now they're not saying for the reason that everybody else is saying, which is it's about club valuation. They're saying it's about the disparities.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of so let's look real quick. The players union they presented first.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last time they did this, it went from the players the union submitted their proposal, and then it was like in the same time frame, May, and the owners waited until like August before they put theirs out there.
Right.
And then they got to go back and forth. They got to figure these things out. And having just gone through one of these, not me directly, but watching it unfold, that had something to do with me from a player standpoint. I'm not sure that I like the idea of how the cap works, the way that they present it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look real quick. This since they did theirs first, let's look real quick at the MLBPA, the Players Association's proposal. So they want basically to double the league minimum
Mm-hmm.
from about 780,000 to about 1.5 million to starting in the first year of it next year. They put out a competitive integrity tax that applies to clubs that fail to meet minimum payroll benchmarks. Um, Not saying what those are, but we'll talk a little bit more about that because the owners do talk about a floor. Um, and that's where it kind of gets interesting too, as far as who's there and who's not. Um, Enhanced compensation and contract guarantees for players in salary arbitration, expansion of salary arbitration eligibility, increased benefits for lower revenue clubs who lose players to free agency, qualified free agency for players with 5 or more years who have reached the age of 30. Right now, it's 6 years before you can do it. The luxury tax threshold increases and removal of non monetary policies, which don't really know what all the details on that is, but we'll see if it matters. Expanded draft lottery to further disincentivize tanking. Increase revenue sharing that initially guarantees every small market club a minimum of 240 million in revenue every season. Penalties for clubs that neglect to spend revenue sharing payments on team payroll, and then draft picks and other benefits for low revenue clubs active in free agency and other signings. So that's what they want.
Yeah, and I mean, and obviously it's the players, so there's a little bit more. They obviously touched on the salary, but then they also touched, to arbitration, free agency, those things as well. But when you look at the owners, what their proposal is, salary cap of $245.3 million and a floor of $171.2 million, a 50-50 split of revenues, so the teams and the players, and then local media revenues would become central revenue. meaning LA, those like the Dodgers, the Yankees. The Yankees have Yes, their sports network. The Dodgers have Sportsnet LA. They have this huge contracts, and now they would have to share that with the smaller media markets.
which in some ways they kind of already do,
Yeah,
because they're paying in luxury tax. They're paying $169 million, which is more than quite a few teams. Everybody's talking about what their percentage is, how many teams, you know, their 500 million payroll, which or more, which is a little bit more than that because it also includes any other benefits, not just money, but any benefits that go with it. Um, is uh, is looking at um, how many teams together don't even match up to the Dodgers, but how many teams don't even hit 169?
yeah.
And they're
Well,
paying that in just taxes.
right.
And these teams with that floor, that 171 plus
Hmm.
million salary floor, there's more teams that don't meet it than are over the 245.
Right, exactly. Well, so there's 12 teams that have to meet the new cap and floor. So it's not just they have to meet both of them. And so you have, I'm sure, so 12 teams would need to grow their payroll by combined $617 million. The Athletics, the White Sox, the Reds, the Guardians, the Rockies, the Marlins, the Brewers, the Twins, the Pirates, the Cardinals, the Rays, and the Nationals. All the usual suspects, I guess we could say. But
Mm-hmm.
then another 8 teams would need to cut payroll by a combined $578 million. And that would the Braves, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Padres, and the Blue Jays. So
Right.
12 teams have to meet. They have to meet the new cap and then and floor. They have to grow their payroll, and then you have the 8 teams that would have to cut their payroll. And again, I come back to the owners where they're crying that that they're not doing. I guess for a lot of people, it's like, oh look, I own a baseball team, and that's it. That's all they, that it's like a status symbol, I guess. But they're not doing anything to help that team become better, more competitive, more to really present a good product to your fans. And that I don't understand um the whole with the owners, and why the owners have the power, because they can very well just say, well, never mind, we don't need baseball, because they're all billionaires anyway. They're all, they all, so millionaires, billionaires, whatever. So what do they care if there's no baseball?
Well, and most of them aren't, they're not making money off of that team in the sense that that's where their billions are coming from.
Right. Yeah, no, they all
They
have separate
have
deals.
outside ventures that they've been doing and other investments and things like that. I mean, they talk about it all the time. What is it? The Detroit Tigers, owned by the guy who started Domino's.
Yeah.
Um, you look; these guys all have it. We may not know it without digging a little bit, but and that's another thing too that we've talked about, and it's real easy to target him because we've talked about the team so much. But Arnie Marino has this whole thing where he looks at it and says, I just had 45,000 people come to a game. What do I care? I've got all these people who are selling out my stadium, taking, their shirts off and yelling, sell the team, but they all paid to get in. So what do I care? And, so with him, I think there's others who, I mean, think about it. The Marlins are almost 100 million below, just short of 100 million below the the floor if
Yeah.
this was to come through. The two or three teams that are close enough, the Orioles are about 4 or 5 million away. The Mariners are fairly close, less than 10 million, and then the Royals and the Reds are all, not too far away. But like you had mentioned, the Marlins, the Guardians, who honestly, the Guardians and the Rays are two teams that I almost feel like you could, yes, their numbers are lower, but you can almost give them a break because they still tend to field competitive teams.
Right. Yeah, you look at this list and just looking at the teams that are doing well, Guardians, they have a good team. They usually are in playoff contention or at the top of their the Nationals are doing pretty well this year, with the young guys that they have on their team. The Brewers have a good team. Um, it's just, and I would even say, the Cardinals, I don't know, they fall in this list, but depending on, that's now, that hasn't always been the case.
No, I think too, as they continue, because they've been in a rebuild, that they're going to put themselves in a position that they're not going to have a problem bumping up and hitting the floor because they've done it before.
Right.
So now the question is how long before we get a counter proposal? And what would that counter proposal look like? From the players, it's not going to have, if the players are going to look at a cap, they're going to want a much higher cap.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's going to be the one thing sticking, everybody's automatically assuming maybe it's better that we, assume the worst is going to happen and that there's not going to be baseball next year. But um, the one thing that the owners want and which will help drive higher valuations of their franchises is having stability with the payroll. Here's part where I see with this whole floor and that when you think about it, you go, oh, okay, those teams that all have to come under, it's really going to be the worst for the Dodgers and the Mets because they're the farthest over.
Yeah.
And who do they have to let go? They're not going to be able to re-sign somebody that's higher. And how do they make all that work with the contracts already in play? And then what's going to really stop the players is that with the way that the cap is, and then all this other revenue to split 50-50 is regardless of what their pay is, they have to put aside some of their money so that once it comes out how much money was actually made, if the total amount, if the 50% that the players get is less than what they thought, then they've got to give money back. If it's over, then they get to keep whatever over, but they're not going to want to do that.
No.
And that takes away things like guaranteed contracts. That really changes the way that play. Now, from our side of it, I care. Like I said, we just went through where I work, all that, and we got, they want to double from 780,000 to 1.5 million over 4 years. We're going to get $4 more per hour
Right.
over 4 years.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it's
the
like
real world.
we're going to get a little over $1 to start, and then under $1 each month. I mean, each year after that. That
Hmm.
really works out to about $4, and it's like so I can't say, but I also don't like the fact that it hamstrings. Like, if your favorite team is willing to go out there to spend the money,
Yeah,
then
I think that's the biggest thing. And you hear from players all the time about, because I don't think, I mean, right now, obviously, this is I guess, the first proposal. Um, and I don't think players are that they're gonna accept a salary cap. And
no.
that's just not gonna happen. But okay, so if the owners say, okay, we're not gonna do a salary cap, but then what concession, what are the players going to have to give up, or what are the concessions from the owners? But again, I really feel like the owners just don't have a leg. To me, they don't have a leg to stand on, because they haven't shown. A lot of owners are like name only. Yes, they own this team, but they're not invested. And I think that's the difference. We bring up the Dodgers a lot, obviously, and on this podcast, but the Dodgers, the ownership is invested in the team. They've done renovations for the stadium. They did a whole new clubhouse. They've done, they're putting the money back in to the club. And I'm not talking about their roster. I'm talking about just, this is a place where players want to play. They want to
Right.
play in LA. They want to play at Dodger Stadium, because they have these things. And other owners have not done that. They don't, they're just like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. If sure, the plumbing needs to be, because a lot of these stadiums are older, right? I mean, Dodger Stadium is in what, the third oldest stadium.
Yeah, you get Wrigley, Fenway,
And
Dodger
Dodger,
Stadium, and then Angel Stadium.
right. But you don't, they're not willing to spend that money to put back into the stadium experience for fans. So they don't have a possum, and they don't have, rodents, a vermin, um, or be worried about. I mean, yeah, parking is a big deal, right? But to say, oh, but we repaved it and we made new lines. Well, new lines is always nice. Those always look really nice, and everybody, ooh, look at the new lines. But that lasts for a week. I think that's the bigger thing, and I feel like the MLBPA may have maybe a little bit higher on the things, as far as that they have the upper hand, I guess, just because you can go back and look at the owners, I get that, just don't do anything. They're not investing back into it. And I think they need, and I don't know about all the owners. Um, I mean, there's been a shakeup with the Rockies. I think they finally got it, but they're another fan base that they're very, they come to the games, and and so it's like, okay, if I don't come to the games, is the owner going to do anything? if I come to the game, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
so,
well, but that's one of those problems is that until you actually try it,
yeah, you'll never know.
if you just keep going. I get that, maybe they have a little better experience, they've got a better ballpark, or they've got that. The two things you got to do is I think that there's players that will go to certain teams,
Hmm.
just like, and once you said we bring up the Dodgers, but they change stuff in the bathrooms when Roki Sasaki came. Shohei seemed to be okay with it. Yoshi seemed to be okay, but Roki said, "What about this?" So they changed it up, got better toilets, whatever it was to help with the player experience. And I think I mentioned it too. Ron Say in his book talked about how players wanted to come to the Dodgers way back when because they had their own jet,
Right. Yeah.
because they had a better setup in spring training. How many of these teams have below average training facilities?
Hmm.
Things like that. That it's like those are all the things that help people want people, draw the players in, and sometimes they're willing to take a little less money for
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Right. And I think, too, you have those, you always hear, especially as we get close to trade deadline, or well, this person, this player, they could be traded, but they have a no trade clause for these teams. Now, why do they have a no trade clause for that particular team? Could it be because they went to the stadium and they're like, I don't want to play here every day. I don't want to deal with
Right. There's
this.
something, and
Um,
sometimes it's
or,
even bigger teams because they don't want to play in a big market. But
yeah.
yeah, I think that plays a lot into it. They know about the ownership, or they
Hmm.
know what kind of facilities they have. And there's teams that go in as a visitor, and it's not a very good visiting, and then you hear the home, the home team isn't really all that excited about what they have on their side either.
Hmm. Right.
And usually you'll have a better facility for the home team, and the visitors are, you know, I mean, there's a standard probably, but it's at the very bottom of it. We're not
Right.
going to give you too much because we don't want to give you any kind of. We'd like that to be a benefit to our team, that
Hmm.
you're not happy in your locker room.
Right. Yeah. We don't want to make it too comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do know that we talk about that. There's going to have to be some changes on these teams, because this is not something that's going to take, oh, you've got 3 seasons to ramp down. They're going to have to figure out how to renegotiate these things with the players. Um, and the biggest problem that I see from the player side, the guys up at the very top are always going to get their money. Shohei and the like are going to get their money.
Yeah.
The guys at the bottom don't make that much anyway, so even if they get a little bit more, so who's going to be the guys who suffer? The middle players.
The middle players. Your players like, I would just say, I mean, again, I mean, Alex Call. I think he's kind of that middle player.
Well, I think, when you look at the team, I think Max Muncy
Yeah, no, Max
is a
Muncy, definitely. He would be in that tier, right? In that, if
right.
you're looking at players and you have the top tier, a middle tier, and a lower tier, yeah, I would say Max Muncy, or um, Tommy Edman, or yeah, those guys that are just, they're not the superstars to their fans. They may be, like Max Muncy. All Dodger fans love Max, but
Right.
he's not a
Money
Shohei
wise,
or a Judge. He's not up there.
right. And so it's going to be guys like him, uh, that are decent, but they're going to get squeezed. Now, I will tell you this: there is a guy that I can see where probably, especially Dodger fans, will probably say, "Oh, I'm glad this guy isn't signed for a long time. We could cut some of his money out." So we'll talk about who that is when we get to the Dodgers.
Okay.
All right, some new sounds here on the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast as we start talking about a new team, which we talked about them last week, but only because they played the Dodgers. But now, I wasn't fooling around.
You weren't.
I am, in fact, wearing my my brown and yellow San Diego hat right now, and am ready to attack. Now, here's one thing I've learned about this team more than I knew before, because we hadn't seen them play. Hadn't really seen them play too much. Knew that they were playing well enough to be right there towards the top of the NL West, but until they played the Angels a few weeks ago, hadn't really seen too much. And this is a team right now that's walking an edge. And they're not playing well offensively. And in fact, even Manny Machado said, this is not sustainable, us winning and not hitting.
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually, it's just not going to work anymore.
So the one thing that they've had is that if they've got a lead or at least tied when they get into the late part of the game, especially when they have a lead, the seventh inning, I think, they'd lost maybe 4 games where they had a lead. The 8th inning, it went down to like 2. And if they were leading going into the 9th, they were undefeated. They weren't losing those games because the strength that they have is fully in the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some starting pitching that's Michael King overall has been pretty good. You'll see here when we get talking about him. He had a little bit of a hard time during this last week, Michael King. But then you've got like Griffin Canning. You've got Walker Buehler, who actually we'll talk about here as well, and Lucas Giolito, who was just recently signed by them. They don't have the great pitching staff that they've had in the past, but you've also got like Joe Musgrove, who is on the IL. Hasn't pitched anything. You've got some guys that aren't there. Technically, Yu Darvish is out because of injury, and he hasn't officially retired yet. So they're dealing with that. And then you've got, while Fernando Tatis Jr. has not hit a home run this year, he has picked up, started getting some more base hits, some extra bases, and leading off. And he's been a solid defender at second base. In fact, they're not even missing like Jake Cronenworth.
No.
Because he's been doing that and splitting time between, second base and right field. So, Manny Machado not really hitting that well. And then, what's his name? And all of a sudden,
Tatis?
No, I just said Tatis, talking about
that's
him.
Right. You did, yes.
No, Jackson Merrill.
Oh, Jackson Merrill, but he has been on the
he's
IL.
right, but all season he's been having those issues.
Right.
It's Miguel Andujar, who has been coming out
Mhm.
of nowhere, who's done well. Xander Bogaerts is, he's kind of there. You've got Ramon Laureano, who pops up here and there, but overall, they're not really. When you look at it, they're a top five team in pitching, or at least the bullpen is, and they're in the bottom two or three in most offensive categories. Their offense is truly offensive. Um, and they know it. Craig Stammen, who is a rookie manager. So I've just honestly, when I first started looking and watching, it's like, did I just go out of the frying pan into the fire between? But
Maybe.
there's a whole different view. There's no with the Angels, we weren't seeing anything happening, and there was not the hope of things seemed to diminish every day. Whereas here, you see a team that's doing pretty well in spite of themselves. And
Yeah.
it goes to the pitching, and it goes to some great defense. They've got some great defensive players. And, just to go back, yeah, Tatis isn't hitting any home runs, but he's a platinum glove type player
Mhm.
at both second base now and in right field. So, that's helping quite a bit. And then some other guys that have stepped up. Ty France has been doing pretty well. Now, when you read the fans that Padre fans are not as that excited. The guys who have been there, like Angel fans that we've talked about before, that have been Angel fans like me for 50 years plus. Um, it's a little harder, for to see and to accept some of this stuff. Um,
Yeah, I mean, some of the comments that we were going through, there was it was a Facebook page, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and you were like, "I feel right at home.
yeah,
These are my people."
right, yeah. That's why I said, as getting into uh, to like I said, right into the fire, out of the pan. So I thought, hey, this is going to be pretty good. They just played the Dodgers, which was a tough one for them, because like Max Muncy said, hey, we're not playing that well. Just give us a little bit of time, and in a couple of weeks, you won't even recognize us. And
Hmm.
we'll talk about what's going on with them. But they hit them at a time where the Dodgers were coming out of kind of a slump, and starting to play better. Um, so they meet up with the A's. That's a team you want to see,
Yeah.
and they send Walker Bueller to the mound. Walker goes five, gives up 3 runs on 5 hits. His walks to strikeouts was 1-1. A lot of 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, no home runs though, and he doesn't get the W in this one, but the Padres do. They end up winning it 7-3, and they would score 4 runs in the seventh and the eighth
And there
to
were three home runs. You had Machado, Laureano, and Castellanos all had home runs in this
right.
game.
And those are 3 guys that wasn't happening
Hmm.
for them. You know, and you'd like to see. Oh, Nick Castellanos. We said he went there. It seemed like a good place for him to go.
Yes.
He seems to be happy there, but he's still not playing very well. I think he was playing
No.
better in Philly. Um, I think the guy who moved to another team who was really bad last year, who's pretty decent this year. Um, I'm wondering if the Dodgers kind of wish maybe they had rethunk re-signing what's his name, who played left field last year. All of a sudden, I forgot his name.
Left field.
Yeah, he's playing for the Cubs now.
Oh, Michael Conforto.
Conforto. Yeah, see.
That's who I
Uh,
thought you were talking about, but I was like, I don't know. Yes, Michael Conforto.
all right, so the Dregs the Padres win that one. It's hard not to call them that because I've
I
been calling
know
them the
you can't
Dregs
call
for
them that now. You got
no. They're my team now.
they're your
I can
team.
call them that. They're playing kind of dreadful, kind of dreg like
Well,
in a lot of different ways.
in the second game, they win the game 2-0. But the interesting part about this is the two guys that get the RBIs, Ty France and Tatis. Ty France goes 0 for 3, gets an RBI, but that's because he had a ground out. Castellanos scores. And then Tatis 0 for 2 with an RBI because he was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded. And there's your scoring. It just,
Right. And so that's where, like Manny said, not sustainable.
yeah,
Things
you
like
just,
that are not going to happen
but you
every
go,
week.
no, and you go back to defensive plays. I mean, Ty France in this game, he had 3 double plays. He was part of the like 3 double
Right.
plays, and Mason Miller got his 16th save. Lucas Giolito pitched in this game, not great. I mean, 5 walks, only 2 strikeouts, but it was enough to shut the A's down where they didn't score anything.
Well, and they went against the guy who almost no hit the Angels,
Mm-hmm.
who couldn't get anybody out. He walked six of the 14 batters that he faced, and only lasted 2.1 innings. Giolito went the whole five, and then like you said, Mason Miller gets the save against his old team. So the Padres win this series, and then give up the last game 5-2 to the A's, and
Mm-hmm.
Michael King, not a good day for him at all. Um,
No.
he only went 3 2/3, walked 4 while striking out 4, gave up a home run and 4 runs on 5 hits, and he just they weren't able to recover from that, and a lot of that is because there just wasn't a whole lot of offense. Yes, Tatis went 3 for 5.
Mm-hmm.
Ty France hit a home run,
Yeah.
but nobody else really um, did anything. Manny Machado, 0 for 2 with a walk. Um, uh, you know, a lot of zeros in that hit column, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously in the run column. Um, so so it wasn't a good finish to that series, and I think they won it more because the A's are not a great team than they did because they are a good team. The
Mm.
Padres are a good team. Um, there's just too many ups and downs there. So the Padres, um, who's one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, since starting off like going 9-19, they've won like 20 games, I think, since then. Um, so having Donnie Baseball take over has been a big thing, and the Phillies who are a 500 team overall, but only because of a bad start.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't have that bad start, who knows where they would be today? Because it's not that their team is bad. I just
Right. Well, one thing that's helped them is that the Schwarbaum is back,
he
and
certainly.
he is leading baseball with home runs. In fact, in the first game of the series, he would hit his 21st of the season off of Griffin Canning, and the Phillies would go on to win this 3-0. Another multi-hit game for Tatis
Hmm.
Jr. But the problem is runners in scoring position.
Oh, for 10.
Uh-huh.
I
And this
mean, you
was
can't
like
do
I
anything
think
with that.
I think at one point they were 0 for 35 or 0 for 36 with runners on base. So it just doesn't, like you said, you can't do anything with that.
Mm-mm.
And it doesn't matter if Tatis gets a couple of hits or um, Ty France had 2 hits in that game as well. But they ended up, so that's 4. And then Miguel Andujar, who's been one of the better batters for this team, has 1. That was their 5 hits. That was it.
That's
Nobody
it.
else got a hit, and they drop it. They out hit the Phils, out hit them by 2 runs. I mean 2 hits, but the problem is that there was Schwarber's home run, and then Captain Caveman Brandon Marsh would take his former teammate Griffin Canning deep as well, with 1 on, and that's all they needed: 3 hits, 3 runs, and they were able to move on. But hey, the Padres are a decent team. They can find their way out of this, right? And the Phillies,
Exactly.
the Phillies, while they're playing better, they've lost some. They're not. The one thing that the Phillies have is they've got some great pitching. Jesus Luzardo would pitch in this one. At one point, in fact, to close everything out, we'll talk about it. They're going to have to face another one of these, and I think we can talk about this in Around Baseball, but Cy Young candidates, and we'll
Hmm.
talk about that in a second. Next game up, um, right out of the gate, first 3 innings, the Phillies are up 4 runs, and it's Aaron Nola here. So another guy who's a solid pitcher. No home runs for Schwarber in this, but home runs from Trey Turner and from Bryce Harper. Oh, and JT Realmuto.
Hmm.
So giving up a lot of home runs. Uh, Manny Machado does take one out of the yard in this one, as well as Ramon Laureano, but it's just not enough. And they dropped this one 4-3. Randy Vasquez of the Padres would go 5 2/3 and give up all 4 runs off of the 3, and gave up all 3 home runs. The bullpen would only give up 1 hit compared to the 8 that Vasquez did. But they just not enough to make it happen.
Nope.
So the Phillies have won this series. The Padres can do to the Phillies like the A's did to them and take one of the 3. Not today. While the Padres out hit the Phillies in the game, 7 total hits for the Padres, 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And there was a couple of doubles. Laureano got one, Jackson Merrill. Seems like Jackson Merrill may have been waking up against Cy Young candidate Christopher Sanchez.
Yeah, he has just been so good this season. He goes 7, gives up 6 hits, but no runs, no walks, 9 strikeouts. He has an ERA of 1.48 and a whip of 1.12. So nothing to mess around with. He is solid performer right now on the mound. So he's going to
And
be definitely one to watch.
this one would have could have been different. Walker Buehler, who's been kind of a middle of the road, he's pitched a little better, actually pitched pretty well throughout most of this game. He does get charged with 2 runs because when he's pulled after 5 1/3, Morahone, Adrian Morahone, inherits 2 runners, and both of those runners would go on to score, which is not like Morahone. He's been pretty solid with the in relief, and that kind of undid the overall look. He struck out 2, but didn't walk anybody in this game, and only gave up 3 hits and 2 runs. So I mean, Walker Buehler looked pretty decent overall, but the problem is Christopher Sanchez just looked decenter.
Yeah, decenter. So what do you think? You're like, all right, I'm hitching my wagon to the Padres, and they win the first 2 games, and you're like, okay, and they lose the last game in that series against the A's, and you're like, it's all right because the Padres, they can, it's just how it is, and then they lose all 3 games, and you're
They
like,
get swept.
I am just back. I just switched colors.
Well, I just changed colors, the same thing, but at the end of that, they're still 31 and 24.
That's true. They are.
So yes, they could lose that, and by the end of the season, they could be under 500. But there's going to be, when they get cooking, if they do, which there is that possibility, they have a lot of potential there. Then we'll see. They have they just barely played the Dodgers for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
They've got another series at Petco with them coming up, and then they finally go to Dodger Stadium. The question will be, will it be the same Padres that the Dodgers saw the last time they were there? What I've seen in my first couple of weeks as a Padres fan, I still see that there's potential for them to be a playoff team at minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I still don't see it with that other team. Could be wrong. And like I said, there was a caveat that if they get over 500, and like I said, not just one game, but over and look to do well, then we can
Yeah,
go back.
it's not like they get to 500 and you toss the cap off, put back, and we because um the we asked our designer who did our logo to make the change on the other side, so there's still the blue, Dodger blue, but now it's the yellow and brown.
Yep.
So that's
And
like this
I'm
is
committed to the Padres for the rest of this season. And like I said, that other team is still part of, but it's weird because I'm so used to, when I pull up my MLB app, for them
right.
to pop up. And
Yes.
now, if I want to see what they did, because it's like I follow all the teams, I look to see who's doing what.
Yeah.
They're at the bottom of my list, and then it's Padres and Dodgers are at the top of the list. So that'll be tough. Now, the question is going to be, The Padres finish up their homestand with that. The Phillies, of course, are heading up to the Ravine. Unique low field at Dodger Stadium. The Padres are on the road, and they're going to Washington.
Yeah, Washington,
The
D.C.
highest scoring team, the biggest scoring team in baseball. Of course, they give up the most runs as well. So who knows what they're going to happen there. And then they get to deal with the Phillies again. So on one side, the Phillies are hot. Get them out of the way. You don't have to play them the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's it. This is it. You saw him at home. You see him in Philly, and maybe what they saw in San Diego maybe helps them out when they go to Philly. I don't know. Sometimes
And
it doesn't matter.
I think that I think they might also be looking forward to the chance to take on Christopher Sanchez again, because they didn't hit poorly against them. I mean, they did have 7 hits overall in the game. They just couldn't put anybody get anybody home,
Yeah.
which wasn't just that issue. So that might be helpful. And I know that in the few of the different stories I read, that they're wondering if maybe Jackson Merrill, who a couple hits off of it, maybe that's helping turn him around, was facing one of the best.
Could have been. It could be.
All right. I don't know if I'm ready for a player of the week yet. Did you pick one?
I did. Even though I was like, I don't want to pick any player from the Padres to be a player of the week. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of hard just because, there were a lot of guys that got hits and things like that. But, this time I went with purely on defense, was Ty France. I mean, I mentioned the 3 double plays, but he did have a home run. He had a couple of RBIs. So he was trying at the plate and in the field to help his team win. So I'm my first dregs player of the week, Ty France.
I did think about Ty France. Honestly, after all that, the guy that I saw the most from was probably the one of the guys that I would least want to give it to. Was Fernando Tatis Jr. because he's in there. He may not be hitting home runs, but he's getting on base. He's a single here, a single there. He's playing good defense overall. So,
I mean, I don't know. The player of the week is going to be hard for me for the Padres. And one will be, yes, if I ever have to, I'm always going to dig deeper. So I will avoid Tatis and definitely Manny Machado.
well, that's fair.
But
Yours
I
will
will
always be one
play
of the
along.
other players. Well, if you don't
Yes.
have one, you don't have one.
Because you made me look deeper at their box scores this week and as we continue.
What did I tell you? It is good to know the ways of one's enemy.
It is. We will see. I will be able to find out all kinds of things about San Diego.
Speaking of enemies, let's go to the ravine.
Babe, you better help me out, babe.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
So the Dodgers kind of had a split week, 3 on the road, 3 back at home. And after they played the Padres, they headed to Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, yeah, and this is a place that last season Milwaukee swept them in the 6 times that they met. Milwaukee swept them. Of course, the Dodgers turned around, paid back that favor in the postseason when it matters the most. So there was a lot of talk of the Dodgers going into Milwaukee. What is this going to look like? Is this going to be a repeat? And the first game out, I think a lot of people thought, "Oh yeah, this is it. It must be there must be something at in Milwaukee, the Dodgers just can't play here." Because in the first game, the Dodgers lose 5-1. They struggled at the plate. They one run on 3 hits, and they were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They left 9 on base. And I will say that the Brewers are a team, they don't hit a lot of home runs, but they attack you. And Justin Robleski got attacked right off the bat. I guess pun intended. And he does end up going 5 innings. It didn't look like he was going to go 5 innings in this game, but he gives up 8 hits. He gave up 5 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and the home run. But they just, it was just like a constant where they were just hitting and getting the hits they needed. Whereas the Dodgers they just couldn't do anything in this game, in this first game.
No, I mean only 3 hits.
3, that's
For
it.
them. It was just not, they were able to get a run, but yeah, it didn't help.
And
So
it's not like, the pitcher for the Brewers, I don't know why I don't have his first name. His last name's Henderson. He only went 5 innings as well, but only gave up 2 hits. And
yeah,
but
Logan Henderson.
Logan, thank you, and 7 strikeouts. Also didn't give up a home run. So, yeah, very, as far as innings pitched, similar. 3. He gave up 1 more walk than Robleski did. But yeah, the Dodgers just couldn't get it done in this game. But the Dodgers come back the next night, and Roki Sasaki is on the mound. And this actually was a good inning. It was a good inning. It was a good game for him.
Many good
Um,
innings
Many good innings,
put
5
together there,
to
huh?
be
Yeah.
exact. Yeah. The Dodgers win this game, and this is something that we have talked about before. Um, Offense for certain pitchers. And we noticed Yamamoto doesn't always get a lot of offense. We noticed Roki doesn't always get a lot of offensive help. This one, 11-3, the Dodgers win. Sasaki goes 5 innings, gives up 4 hits, 3 runs. The 3 runs in that the Brewers got, because then the bullpen came in and shut him down. Only gives up 2 walks and has the 4 strikeouts. But in this game, you have Freddie Freeman, who had 4 walks and a double in this game. And then, but it was Teoscar Hernandez, who was 3 for 4 and 6 RBIs in this game with a home run. He did the most damage.
The
He
heavy
had
lifting, as it were.
Yes, he had himself a game, and it was good to see. You look at this: Otani 2 for 5, Freeman 1 for 1, but he was getting walks, which is so important. If you can get a guy on base and bring him in, that's what you're supposed to do. Pajes, Will Smith, Tucker hit his first triple with the Dodgers. And Espinal Santiago, who had a double in this game. This is, this was a big deal for the Dodgers, who we have seen struggle at the plate a lot lately. So tied up, series tied up 1-1. You go to the last game, and Yamamoto is on the mound again. He gets the offensive help that he needs. He goes 7 innings, gives up 7 hits, but only the 1 run. Dodgers win this game 5-1. He only gives up 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, but no home runs. Kyle Tucker, 2 for 5 in this game, another triple. He had his second triple, and then he also had a double in this game. Mookie Betts, it's nice to see him getting back to form. And of course, Andy Pages in there. Everyone who this guy was playing, because I think that Dave Roberts gave Will Smith like 2 days off for this Milwaukee series. And I'm always like, why? Why would you do that? But they had Dalton Rushing in there. He was 1 for 3 in this game. And Dalton Rushing is becoming like the most hated man in baseball, apparently. Like nobody likes him. I don't know if that's on purpose or if he's just really he just is that type of personality. I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's something about that personality that he just,
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it's just him, it's like, sometimes you just have one of those faces. So the Dodgers, after the hand wringing of fans after game 1, the Dodgers win the series, this first series versus the Brewers in Milwaukee. So they leave Milwaukee on a high note, and they come home and they welcome the Rockies.
yes, the good old Rockies.
Well, and you say, I saw them play the Rockies twice in April, and they didn't look so great in those. There were things that they needed to work on. There were things like, what the heck, no one's communicating here. Now we can say Sasaki instead of Sasaki. For now, we'll see. But they weren't doing well, and the Rockies have a lot of good young players, and so you never know. You never know with the Rockies. But in this one, the Dodgers win this first game 5-3. And coming into this game, versus this first game versus the the Dodgers bullpen had gone 38 scoreless innings, and in this game they gave up their first run. So
Right.
that, but no Dodgers bullpen had a lower scoreless streak since the mound was moved to its current distance in 1893, and they were closing in on the MLB record set by the 1962 Tigers, 45 2/3 scoreless innings. So we'll see. I mean, in that streak of 38, maybe they start another one.
Maybe so. And, this is what's good. You're seeing, uh, you know, Blake Trinan, who had a really bad year last year, Tanner
Yeah.
Scott.
Mm-hmm.
These are guys who are performing back up to, where you wanted them to be and why the Dodgers wanted to keep them. Will Klein, look, and then of course Alex Vesia.
I think this is, Alex Vesia, of course. And Emmett Sheehan's on the mound, and he goes 6 innings. He had 8 strikeouts and gave up 5 hits, 2 runs, but otherwise looked good. Kike Hernandez back in the lineup for this game, goes 2 for 2 with a double, has an RBI. Everyone's happy that Kike is back. There's rejoicing in the streets in Los Angeles. And then we go to the next game. The next game is a blowout, but the pitcher on the mound is a new guy that was acquired from the Blue Jays, and that's Eric Lauer. And Eric Lauer didn't look too bad, was able to go 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, a run, gave up a walk, had 4 strikeouts, and did give up a home run. The Dodgers win this game 15-6, and Mookie Betts 3 for 5, 5 RBIs, 2 home runs. That was so exciting to see Mookie Betts back because we haven't seen that in a long time. It's
Right,
been
batting fourth,
yes.
moved down in the order.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, and then you had Kike, 2 for 2, home run, a double, had an RBI. And then we find out that as he was running, I guess it had to have been off of the swing, but as he was running to second, felt something, wasn't too sure, oblique. He has an oblique injury.
and I think the words used were significant tear.
Significant tear, and that is a bummer because Kike brings there's something about Kike Hernandez, and he brings a levity to the clubhouse and to that dugout. I mean, everybody. I don't know of any Dodger fan that doesn't like Kike. They brought him back for a reason, and so most of it is I don't remember. I think it was Max Muncy, but it was one of the players. They were asked about him, about Kike and this injury, and he said it's okay because we'll get Kike back when he plays his best.
Right. Sure enough. Yeah, it was a good game. Eric Lauer did pitch very well. He makes him he is the reason why people revere Andrew Friedman and to some extent Brandon Gomes, but mostly AF because they end up getting now. Obviously, this is one outing, and we'll see what happens the next time he goes.
Mhm.
But yeah, there should have been. He gave up the one run, the 6 that they ended up with. One was Lauer's. 5 of them was Miguel Rojas.
Yeah, he went and was on the mound, and Eric Karros, who was in the booth, said that Miguel Rojas is his favorite player of all time, and that's pretty much because his son, was it Kyle, hit a 3-run home run off of Miguel
Yeah,
Rojas.
Kyle Karros. It was
Yes.
kind of funny. At one of the games, Freddie Freeman was trying to get Kyle to look up in the booth where his dad was, and he wouldn't look.
He wouldn't do it.
So
And I don't know, that would be kind of weird, your son's playing for the opposing team and you're the color guy, adding the color for the Dodgers. I don't know, but he seemed to do okay. So yeah, they route the Rockies, and then the next night Shohei is on the mound and at the plate. And I like this better because we've seen him where he just pitches, and I think that there's something about him throwing and hitting. I think it just gives him extra, something extra. And he had a leadoff home run in this game. He pitched 6 innings. He didn't give up any hits. He did give up a run, but he had 4 strikeouts and 7 strikeouts. And
4 walks.
Yeah, the 4 walks. No other player in the modern era has accomplished both feats over the course of his entire career, the same game or not. A leadoff home run and then pitching 6 innings or more.
And he was upset.
He he was not happy.
He apparently, now I didn't see any of that, this part of it, but apparently his control, because of the 4 walks, a hit. I think he hit somebody, didn't he? He hit Hunter Goodman,
I think, yeah.
um, and which is what drove, ended up with that one run that he gave up. But he was just like, my control's not there. He was cussing. He was
I
using some
know.
motivational. It's like, hey, you know English pretty well, there, dude.
Well, he may know that word.
Well, he knows English pretty well. I've
He
heard him. He just,
Yeah, no, I think the difference is you may know, and it with any language, I guess, is but how comfortable do you speak? Do you feel speaking? You can understand because I watch these guys um, that give interviews, but they prefer to give interviews in their native language.
yeah, I think he's fine talking to his teammates and all that in
Yeah,
English. He knows all that stuff, but yeah, he just has a little better.
I don't
If
know.
he
I
needs
mean,
to express his thoughts a little more,
hmm
then so yeah, he outduels fellow countryman Tomoyuki Sugano,
hmm
and and this is what the Dodgers are supposed to look like when they play the Rockies.
yes,
The Rockies at the end of this they're 20-37. Um, they've almost doubled up their losses compared to their wins
yep.
as of that game. So it's like that's what needed to happen there, and so they did well.
They did. Andy Pajas had a home run in this game, as well as Freddie Freeman. So it's good to see Freddie back. There's been a lot of guys that have just struggled at the plate.
Yep, he's coming
Um,
around, but I wonder if it's part of that has to do with some recent things that have come out. He and his wife just had their daughter,
mm-hmm.
and he has said now that this kind of has started changing. I thought I was going to play for about this many more years, and he goes, and he's put it into play that it's like bringing his sons to the ballpark. He goes, the thing is that I'm 37. In 3 years, if I retire, let's say I retire at 40, she's not going to remember any of that.
Right.
So I'm not going to be ball player dad
Mm-hmm.
to my daughter
Mm-hmm.
the way that I am to my sons.
Right.
And so I think maybe, and we all have these things. There's things that we do, and at some point in our lives, we move on from those things for whatever reason. But sometimes, just like my priorities have now changed.
Yeah. But I think he still is at this moment, obviously at this moment, but he still is, and I think for a while. I mean, he's also Freddie Freeman, the ball player, and wants to be the best that he can be.
Well, one thing he
And
did
I don't think
say,
that's going to change.
he would like to retire as a Dodger, but he also understands that at this point in time in his career, if they were to let him go before he retired, he would understand, you know.
Yes.
And I think that's one thing that um, players who see this this team is about this organization is about winning, and he's bought into that,
hmm
and he knows that at some point that may no longer include him.
Right. Yeah.
All
So
right, you got a player of the week.
Well, before so I will go over this a little bit more in detail on the wheel, but during this game, Teoscar Hernandez left the game early. So,
right.
and we'll talk about that when we get to the wheel.
So the Dodgers do have Philly coming to town, so they get their time. They will not have to face Christopher Sanchez. Not that they couldn't beat him, but hey, if you don't gotta, why do it? And then who else do they have coming in?
Actually, they're going to be going to Arizona
Oh, that's right, going to
for
see the
4.
Diamondbacks.
Yes.
All right.
And I do have a player of the week.
Yes, and your player of the week is
Despite him his running to first base, this week, Teoscar Hernandez is my player of the week. 368, 6 RBIs. He hit that home run and made some good catches and just is back to being the smiley, happy Teoscar that we all know and love. Or we all love. I don't know him, so only on
right.
TV.
Only from a distance.
Yeah, it's only when I see him at the stadium. What
All
about
right.
you?
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah. You know what? My players
Mm,
of the week is the bullpen. Um,
okay, so I almost went with the bullpen. I almost did, and I didn't. So
38 and 2/3 shutout innings.
yeah,
Um, and of course, it's always when you see something like the last time this was done by a team was 137 years ago. That always
oh
makes it more impressive.
yes,
Um, yeah, clearly, uh, they they uh, they tied Cleveland's record from 2017, and then the 45 and 2/3 you mentioned by the Tigers in 1962. I was rooting for them to get to that, but yes, the bullpen, because it's the bullpen is a key and will be, and
hmm
this does seem to be a they seem to be part of the script, an on again, off again thing. Last year, bullpen was pathetic. The year
hmm
before that,
we
strong.
yes had to have them.
And that's what we're looking at is are they going to continue to be that? And
Hmm
they're going to have to be based on what we talked about with um, the Padres and their bullpen.
Right. Yes.
All right. That craziness in my mind about something that I forgot to talk about at the time, but I just saw it the other day. And we'll get to that in Around Baseball. Time to hop in the bullpen cart. And we got new colors on the bullpen cart. So instead of the blue and the red that we had mixed together, we got blue and brown.
Yeah, we also need to update that. I need to get with the designer.
So, anyway, we're going to talk today about the regional matchups as we head on the road to Omaha. Yes, not the Bing Crosby and Bob Hope movie, because I don't ever think they took the road to Omaha. They went to Morocco. They went to a couple other places, but not the road to Omaha that I'm aware of. So we'll talk about that, a farewell to a player that kind of matches in with something that we've kind of in a theme, I think. We'll talk about that, and of course, as you brought it up, the will. But as always, we start off our trip around baseball with the players of the week, MLB style.
All right. For our players of the week, In the National League, we head to Arizona and the Diamondbacks. Ketel Marte, in a 7-game span, he hit 536 with a 1.563 OPS, had 7 extra base hits, and 12 RBIs. And in the American League, we head to Boston and the Red Sox. Wilson Contreras, he hit 458. He was 11 for 24 with a 1.355 OPS, with getting 4 extra base hits and 8 RBIs. And those are the MLB players of the week. And
Nice.
next
Yeah.
week, we will have players of the week, and we should have players of the month.
Players owed the month. That's for sure. We're already at the end of it. We're a third of the way
Crazy.
through the season, and Ketel Marte is helping the Diamondbacks stay in there, just a game behind the Padres, 5.5 behind the Dodgers. So
Well, and I just recently saw an article that said, looking at the playoff picture 2 months in, and the Diamondbacks are up there.
yeah, there's this is a strange season when we look at the standings, because so many teams are all real close
Yeah, they're all
that
bunched up.
we start looking at, like, you know, how many, where our teams compared to for the wild card are all within just a game and a half. Um, I mean, even in the American League, you looked at, the Tigers are the farthest out, right now, at 7, and they're only 7.5. All they got to do is start playing a little better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when we talk about, like, the Angels, they're at 7, um, and then the Rockies at 10.5 and the Giants at 9, but the Mets up are all within 7 or less, um, up, in the wild card. So yeah, it's going to be, if it stays that way, it's going to be an interesting season, and that will be, to go back to what we started talking about at the beginning of the show, won't that be the way that we have the most exciting pennant race ever, with multiple teams all involved, or all with a shot, within a couple of games, and then they just fall off,
Yeah.
and they end up taking a year off, or mini games, and it changes up how everything looks. So we'll see. I want to get this out of the way real quick, because I didn't mention it back when the Angels were playing in Kansas City. I don't know if you noticed or not. I did tell you that the glove that Zach Neto was using, was there, looked like the way it was like a blue, purple, pink,
Oh, right, like
and
the new
their
Kansas
their
City Connects. Yeah.
City Connects. But what I noticed the other day, I saw a picture, their hats. I kept thinking, why are they wearing visors?
Oh.
And it's the way that the top of their hats are more, pink color. So
Mm,
when you're looking from above, to me, it looked like they were wearing visors, not,
no.
because it's not the same blue color
Right.
all the way around. So odd. And since we're talking about the Angels real quick, I am taking full credit for this
I
by
think you
me
should.
by me changing teams. They did something recently that they haven't done since July of last year. They won back-to-back series.
Back to back, and one series they swept.
I know.
They swept the Rangers.
They swept the Rangers, and they had a shot at it with the Tigers, but
Mhm.
weren't. But they were still able to do that, and on a win streak. So
Well, and with the Tigers, you had Detmers strike out 14. in the final game of that series where the Angels won 10-6. Sorry, 7-1. The 10-6 was the first game, but 7-1. So yeah, I was like, look at that. You just were like,
Oh,
I'm done. And they were like, okay. And they have your pitcher in their clubhouse and they're like, we're gonna win for Jeff. We gotta have him
we
back.
gotta get him back. Yeah, I was like, I sent you something because they signed Taiwan Walker
Yes.
to a minor league contract, so we don't know if when or if he'll come up. But I was like, oh, I left too soon. Look what they did. Yeah. Okay. Uh,
We'll see. We'll see.
all right. Something that I was a little surprised to hear, but I don't think I was that surprised by. But before I tell you that, Chris Taylor, we talked about last week that he retired.
Yeah, it was breaking news
Yes.
because it just happened. And then the next day, wah,
He
wah,
wasn't retired.
he is not retiring. And then the next day,
Chris actually posts on his own and go, I don't know where this came from, but I'm retiring.
I'm retiring.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not. No, I'm done.
Yeah.
And so, but that was kind of funny how that went. It's like, wait, we just barely talked about this. Well, I don't even think most people had a chance to hear that episode, and it was already outdated.
Yeah. Because yeah, it's like, wait a minute, we just talked about that he retired and how great he was as a Dodger. And now he's
Right
not retired.
now,
And
he's
now he is
not
retired. But
retired.
we haven't heard from him the rest of the week, so he's retired. He's done.
And then Garrett Cole. Before one other thing, before I get to where I was going to go, but Garrett Cole, um, second game out, and a lot of times they come out, they have a great game, and then they kind of like have an okay
Yeah, yeah.
game. Yeah, not Garrett Cole.
No,
Uh,
he's not built that way.
no, he. So the first game out versus Tampa Bay, we talked about that last week. Pitches against the Royals. This time he goes a whole 2/3 of an inning more. Does give up 4 hits, but no run. Strikes out 10 in this game, maintaining his, albeit small sample size, 12 innings worth of a 0 ERA, and he's thrown 151 pitches so far between his 2 outings. But he looks, if he can keep that up, watch out, American League East. In fact, watch out, American League. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, he did well. Now, what I was going to say was, I'm not real surprised by this overall. But you know who wants an MLB team now, throwing their hat in the ring?
Oh, Sacramento.
Yes.
I was
They're
like, I
like,
just read this.
they're like, hey, we have been supporting this team for a
Yeah,
couple of years. I think they've still got one more year up
I do.
there.
Yes,
I don't think
and
that
not
the
only
Vegas stadium opens till 28,
right 2028, and they're supporting this major league team. They also have a minor league
and
team,
a triple A team.
the AAA team, the River Cats, and so they're doing both, and they're doing a good job. It seems like I know some people who've gone to the games there to see him play, to see the A's play, and so why not?
That's what I thought. They've already got one professional team there that I'm aware of. I don't know if they have soccer there, but they do have the Sacramento Kings.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, it's too bad that they can't hold the A's there.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Because they're going to Las Vegas and
Well, that's one reason. But what do they have in common with the Kings?
what do they have in common with the Kings? I don't know.
The Kings moved to Sacramento from Kansas City.
See, oh, right. Yeah.
Now they were the basketball team in Kansas City,
Yeah.
and that would be that the A's moved to California from
Yeah.
Kansas City.
Uh-huh.
Thus, so did the Kings. They both ended up
Yeah,
there.
that's right. Okay.
So
I didn't even think of that aspect.
strange, weird things. All right. So we've been talking about this. What that it is, our favorite time of year, or one of our favorite times of year, and all uh, around college baseball. And as they're finding their way, those right now, it's people trying to get on the road. They're stuck on the waiting to turn to go on the on ramp.
Yes, and before we get to this favorite time of of our one of our favorite times, right? I
Yes.
just want to mention softball real quick. Um, the softball Hall of Fame is in Oklahoma City. And just south of Oklahoma City is a college town, Norman, Oklahoma. And that is the home of the University of Oklahoma Sooners. And this is going to be a different looking softball World Series because for the first time since 2015, the Sooners softball team will not be in the College World Series, the
Oh,
Women's
wow.
College World Series. They were eliminated by Mississippi State in their super regional, and that ends their record of 4 consecutive national titles and 9 consecutive Women's College World Series appearances. So,
Wow. Well, that opens the door for what would be an interesting thing in that you've got the UCLA women's softball team
mhm.
is there. You also have the men's baseball team in the NCAA tournament. If both of those teams were to win, actually, if just the softball team were to win, that would be a second big women's championship for UCLA this
Oh
year.
yeah, most definitely. Yeah, since their women's basketball team, yeah, definitely. So
So,
that'd be fun to watch. We'll see. Because that's another we don't talk a lot about, obviously we don't talk about softball that much, but if you haven't watched the
oh yeah,
women's
you definitely got to
college,
watch. It's
you have
it's
to watch it.
it's
It is, yeah.
exciting games. So speaking of UCLA, they grabbed the number one spot in the tournament
Mm-hmm.
and the regional, which I see you pictures of. It's really weird because you look at stadiums from all over the place. They play at Jackie Robinson Stadium, which is right next to like an annex section of the Los Angeles National Cemetery.
Uh-huh.
And the cemeteries between the UCLA campus, the cemetery, the 405 freeway, another part of the cemetery, and then Jackie Robinson Stadium, which is on the Veterans Administration campus. And so when I go over there, I go by there, but it's a very small stadium. If you see it on TV, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's not an impressive stadium comparatively. It's
Yeah.
nice, but it's different. And that's
And
where
they
they're
just had a
having one of the
banner.
regionals.
Yeah, I mean it just was a banner
Mm-hmm.
that said regionals were happening here.
Yep. So in the Los Angeles regional, you've got UCLA is the number one team, Virginia Tech Number 2 there, Cal Poly is the 3rd seed, and then St. Mary's, the Gales, are there. And you asked me recently what happened or what's going on with Tony Gonsolin. Tony Gonsolin is probably there watching his alma mater
Yeah, he
play.
should be, because since he's not playing, he's not
Yeah, I don't know
playing
where he's
anywhere.
at with his rehab or anything because he's a
Yeah.
free agent.
Hmm.
Um, he
But
didn't
yeah, when I
accept
saw that
the
St. Mary's
DFA.
was playing, I was like, oh, because Tony Gonsolin is played for them. So anyway,
All right. The West Virginia Mountaineers are hosting another regional in Morgantown. They've got Binghamton, which is the number 4 seed, the number 2 seed of Wake Forest, and the number 3 seed, my Kentucky Wildcats, are there. And of course, in this, who had more teams than anybody else?
who had more teams? The SEC probably.
Yep, they had the
Oh,
most. They had the most. When I saw UK there, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, with Southern Mississippi, Jackson State, Little Rock, and Virginia, all there in Hattiesburg. Gainesville, Florida. So you know who the number 1 is there.
Florida.
The Gators. Yep, the Gators are it. They've got University of Miami, Troy, and Ryder. This is the one thing I like about baseball tournament,
Hmm.
basketball to some extent as well, is you
Yeah.
see these teams pop up. Do you ever hear of Binghamton?
I know it's a town in New York,
Well,
but
that's
that's
the
it.
Bearcats of Binghamton. Um,
And where
there
is
you just don't.
yeah, where is Ryder?
Uh,
Ryder, where are they from?
I don't remember. I've seen that one because I've seen them play basketball.
Oh, I have to look
Uh,
this up real quick.
Ryder and Troy. I don't remember where Troy's like Michigan, I think.
Um,
Um,
I think that Troy baseball is, let's see, where are they? Um, I want to say, I don't know. Let's see. Where where
you want to say, I don't know.
where is
Well, while you're looking for that, let's go to Chapel Hill, where North Carolina Tar Heels are there. East Carolina, another team that we've heard a lot when we get to. You don't hear about them in anything else. Um, and then VCU and Tennessee, all there in Chapel Hill. College Station, home to the Aggies of Texas A&M, will also host another one of my favorite teams, the Trojans of Southern California. Texas State will be there as well as another Texas team, Lamar, will be there at College
yeah.
Station. In Lincoln, Nebraska. So they've got, if it wasn't for the super regionals, they'd have the shortest trip to Omaha. Out of Lincoln, you've got the University of Nebraska, you've got Ole Miss, the Rebels of Ole Miss, um, South Dakota State, and Forks Up for the Sun Devils of Arizona State there at Lincoln. All right, I think you have an answer to
I
our
have an
question.
answer. I've answered to both, and one I feel really dumb about.
Mhm.
The first one, Troy, is actually Troy, Alabama. And
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I didn't know
so
that.
that's
I'm gonna
yeah.
stop
And then
acting like that's
Ryder,
oh right.
Ryder, when I saw it, I was like, Ryder, I know that school. Why do I know that school? Well, it's because it's in Lawrenceville, New Jersey, which is not too far from where I went to school at the College of New Jersey. Um, it's right there. It's off I-95, and Lawrenceville used to go to the movie theater up there. So it's right. It's there. And why I
Wow.
didn't know that,
So
but that was a
disappointed.
long time ago.
So disappointed in you
I oh.
if you didn't know that.
You
All
thought
right.
Troy was in Michigan. It is in Michigan, but not this Troy.
Right. Nope. But see, that's something that you wouldn't think of that necessary.
No.
Troy, Alabama? What?
Yeah,
No.
Troy, Alabama.
All right. And then for the end of this particular side of the brackets, Auburn Regional, where Auburn is the number one team, North Carolina State, University of Central Florida, and Milwaukee are all there. And then let's go take a look at the other side. We've got the Atlanta bracket, home of the overall number 2 seed in the tournament, and that would be Georgia Tech. A team that you just mentioned, or the school you just mentioned, the school um, is in this region in Atlanta with the Sooners
Yeah, the
of
Sooners.
the
It's good
University
to
of
see
Oklahoma.
the Sooner baseball back in these the playoff contention. And then this is a team that a lot of people, I mean, you maybe know, a lot of people might know, but they don't. They would never associate it with baseball, and that is the Citadel.
Right. I was in the Air Force with a guy who one of the pilots that flew with a lot. He went to the Citadel. I think we have
We
a
have a
cousin.
cousin. Yeah, we have a cousin who graduated from the Citadel.
And then who's the last one in there? University of Illinois, Indiana, Iowa. I don't remember.
No,
UIC.
UIC. I got. Oh, look how prepared we are.
Oh, yeah. No, we're just flying by the seat of our pants. Well, I don't remember. I don't remember who UIC is. I feel bad about that. So let's go to Lawrence. The Big 12 champion Kansas Jayhawks are there. Northeastern.
How about this, real quick? University of Illinois, Chicago.
Yeah, well, I thought Chicago, but it could have been Carbondale.
That's what I
I
thought.
knew
I
it
was like,
wasn't Champaign because that's where
that's
the Illini
lame.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Northeastern and Missouri State there with Kansas and Arkansas. Tallahassee, Florida State is a number one seed there. Coastal Carolina, St. John's, and here we go again. NIU,
NIU, go
Northern Indiana
NIU
University.
University.
I,
NIU. All right.
it looks like maybe a Husky. Go Huskies.
No, is it Indiana? It's Northern Illinois. Northern
Northern
Illinois.
Illinois.
I'm pretty sure it's Northern Illinois University.
Okay. Well, while you look up that, let's see. Tuscaloosa, of course, Roll Tide, Alabama is there, joined by Oklahoma State, Alabama State, and for their very first tournament ever, USC Upstate, University of South Carolina Upstate. I don't know where upstate that is, but
I'm gonna find out because I'm so curious. Like, what is this? Where are they? Okay, NIU is Northern Illinois,
okay.
and USC Upstate. Where do you go to school? I go to Upstate. Spartanburg.
It's where?
Spartanburg.
Spartanburg. What's funny is I was watching a show on Netflix and one of the characters had a shirt on, and I know it wasn't for them, but it said Upstate on it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's where they were going. All right. Austin. which is is not an unusual place to have one of these regionals because it's home to the Longhorns and the University of
That's right.
Texas. Another Texas team that I'd never heard of, and I don't know where in Texas they are. I just know that they're in Texas, and that's Tarleton State. And to be perfectly honest, the only reason I know that they're in Texas is because part of their logo with the big T on it has the state underneath.
They are in Stephenville.
Yeah, that doesn't even help me either. Stephenville.
Stephenville, Texas.
I don't even know. I've heard of it, but I don't know where it's at. Holy Cross, and then the Gauchos of the University of California, Santa Barbara. And while we look for an answer, let's go to Eugene, home of the Oregon Ducks, and they are there. They also have the Washington State Cougars. Oregon State, that's the one. If you want to do the only team that doesn't fit from that region, because you've got Oregon, Oregon State, and Wazoo, Washington State, and then Yale.
Yeah.
Yale had to come all the way across to go. Yale, if you want a better regional, you're going to have a better record, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Starkville in the fine state of Mississippi, Mississippi State, and the Bulldogs there. Lipscomb. And if I'm right, Lipscomb's in Tennessee.
I think you're right, but let me look as you continue.
Cincinnati, the Bearcats of Cincinnati, not Binghamton, but Cincinnati. And then the Raging Cajuns from Louisiana, all there in Starkville. Another SEC team gets a regional, and that would be in Athens, Georgia, home of not only the Georgia Bulldogs, but REM and the B-52s.
Oh, yeah.
It's Rock Lobster time, and they will be joined there by Boston College, Liberty, who we've seen pop up in some past baseball tournaments, and then Long Island University. I did know what LIU was. And that is the regionals. Do we have an answer?
Yes. So Lipscomb is for Nashville.
Right. I thought so because I thought Lipscomb was there along with Vandy.
And then
who, by the way, didn't make it this year.
Right. That's crazy. Tarleton State is about a little less than 2 hours from Dallas. So
south, north, east, west.
I don't know.
Probably not west.
But it's in, I think it is, I think it might be like southwest. But I could be totally wrong because I didn't really look at the map that well.
What was the point of looking?
It told me on the Google. I didn't need to look at the map.
On the Google?
On the Google. The Google said.
Hold on, I'm gonna look.
And then
here on
Liberty.
Stephenville is yes, you are correct. Southwest. So if you took 377 out of Fort Worth,
there you go.
You would end up in Stephenville after you go through Granbury.
All right. Well, and the Liberty Flames, they are out of Lynchburg, Virginia.
Yes. I think that one I kind of knew.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm excited for this the tournament, always excited regardless of the teams, but I think also this year there's a lot of teams that haven't that we haven't seen in a while or at all.
Right. Well, I'm the two teams I'm rooting for the most, Arizona State and Kentucky.
Of course.
Southern Cal, USC, I am a fan of as well. So those would probably be the three teams. I would be okay with UCLA, but UCLA and USC are on the same side of the bracket, so they could end up playing one another.
Ooh.
but we'll see. We'll see. All right. The one thing that every single member of these teams have got to watch out for is injuries, because none of these guys want to end up on the wheel of illustrated llamas.
Limas. What the heck is a lima?
Lima beans. The
Ooh,
illustrated lima
nobody
beans.
wants to end up on that
I do.
list.
I like lima beans.
Oh, I cannot. Yeah, they're so
We used
gross.
to eat a lot of lima beans.
I know, and Dad
That
used to
was,
make me eat like you have to have 5
I
lima
remember.
beans.
Yeah, I remember that.
I would be the last one.
I could eat a lot of lima beans.
Oh, I cannot. They are. Oh, they're awful. Anyway, the wheel of IL. Um, we head to the South Side Chicago White Sox. Minataka Murakami is on the IL and is expected to be out for 4 to 6 weeks with a grade 2 hamstring injury. The Marlins have placed their right-handed pitcher Yuri Perez on the 15-day IL, and this is one that I've never heard of. He has a right gracilis strain.
A what?
It's GRACILIS, and it's part of the thigh.
Oh, wow.
But it is an 8-week recovery. This strain. Yeah, this is a first for the wheel. We've never had a strain of this sort. It's an inner thigh injury. It's caused by the stretching or tearing of the gracilis muscle.
Yeah, I don't
And
think I like that one.
I don't either. And it's pretty, yeah, it's inner thigh, but the muscle is more down toward like as you're getting to your knee. So
Okay.
that's a tough one. The Reds right-handed pitcher Graham Ashcroft is on the 60-day IL with a UCL sprain. They just moved him to the UCL to the IL. I think he had pitched and they didn't see anything, and then all of a sudden, he's on the 60-day IL. The Toronto Blue Jays have placed Dylan Cease on the 15-day IL with mild left hamstring strain. The Angels have placed Nolan Shanuel on the IL with a left calf inflammation, but then he had an MRI done and he was diagnosed with left ankle tendonitis. So he's got
Yes,
a lot
I
going
heard
on
that.
there. As I mentioned, the Dodgers have placed Teoscar Hernandez on the IL with the left hamstring strain. Apparently, it's a grade 1. And then Kike Hernandez with a left oblique strain.
Oblique.
And just for those who are spinning on the wheel to give them some hope, Tarek Skubal threw a 3-inning, 39-pitch live batting practice session the other day. He just had the Skubal scope done and is already back out, pitching. And Edwin Diaz, who didn't have the scope but is ramping his getting back to baseball activities. So he's getting back to throwing this week as well.
Scratching and spitting.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball activities.
Exactly. And that is your wheel of IL.
All right. One last thing before we call it an episode. Just recently we said farewell. Actually, over a couple of episodes, we've said farewell to former Braves connected people, Bobby Cox, and of course Ted Turner. And when we were talking about Ted Turner, we were talking about how TBS brought the Braves America's team and brought all that. They just lost. The Braves family lost a guy who was, if ever there was a player that kind of fit right in with TBS, and he looked like he could have been like Dusty Rhodes, the wrestler Dusty Rhodes' son.
Yes, yeah.
And so it looked like he was like a crossover. Not only so you'd watch the game, you'd watch a Braves game, and then there'd be Mid-South Wrestling after that, and it was like, wait, the third baseman for the Braves is now in a tag team match versus Jerry the King Lawler. What's going on? And that would be Bob Horner, 10-year veteran of the game, who just recently passed away.
He was
Bob,
the number 1 draft pick in 1978.
Yep, and did not play a single game in the minor leagues. He came right and was a rookie of the year in that year. He got that. He had a pretty good 1978 at the age of 20. He played in 89 games, 17 doubles, 23 home runs, 63 RBIs, and a 266 batting average. He would follow that up with a 314 in the following year, and his 21-year-old self.
Did something that is just, on July 6, 1986, against the Montreal Expos, he became the first Braves player to hit 4 home runs in a game, and it was the only 4 home run game in the majors during the 1980s.
Right. You know what? The 4 home run game is pretty rare.
Yeah.
I remember you and I almost saw a 4 home run game.
Mm-hmm.
He had an opportunity. Do you remember who it was?
I'm trying to remember. Who was it?
I always remember
when
he hit his third one, Dad actually jumped out of his seat.
Yes.
And that surprised me. That burned that into my memory.
Yes, because Dad was never a demonstrative fan.
No. He appreciated it.
Yes, he would clap and stuff like that. Okay.
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, I know who it is, but I can't think of their name.
So when Juan Gonzalez hit his third home run in that game versus the White Sox that we went to see, and he still had a chance. He didn't hit the fourth one, but he had a chance. That would have been incredible to go. We always just kind of missed. You missed a no-hitter by Nolan Ryan by a night or two or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that was the thing. You always wanted to go to any Nolan Ryan game because you never knew what was going to happen. So anyway, so farewell to Bob Horner. We'll always remember that blonde hair. Like I said, he could have been Dusty Rhodes' son out there, and he got off the field and went in to wrestle.
That's right.
Time to park the bullpen cart and get things ready for next week. Next week, we will have information about who made it out of which regional and what the super regionals look like. As from there, that's when people will be getting on the road to Omaha. So we'll have all that with the NCAA baseball. We'll see what's happening. Were the Padres able to outscore the high-scoring Nationals? Are the Dodgers coming out of their slump? And if they're coming out of their offensive slump, does that mean maybe the pitching's going to fall apart now? I don't know.
That's how it seems like it works, right? But we'll see.
And then, crazy as it seems, the 2 worst records in baseball, we'll be facing each other in this upcoming week. Maybe we'll have some results from that. Remember, you can check in with us on our social media pages, and you can send us messages there too. Tell us what you're thinking of. Tell us if people were happy enough to tell us we sucked in other things when we were talking about coming up with the idea for NASCAR racing baseball. And the Angels are where they're at because of I made a choice. I said enough is enough, and now look at them. I motivated them.
That's right.
So, by all means, reach out to us. Let us know what you're thinking about any team in baseball, any of your thoughts about the show, and you can find us on Twitter and Blue Sky at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
The website is siblingrivalrybb.com. Check out the Fanatics links and get yourself some gear from your favorite college. That's whether they're playing in the baseball playoffs or not, or your favorite major league team. Grab something from the Padres. They got better city connects now. They look a little bit better now. Whatever you do, check those out, the Fanatics links on our website. And don't forget to go check out some live baseball if you can. And make sure to watch some of this College World Series. It's always a good time. And the softball World Series.
Yeah, don't miss out on that.
Don't sleep on any of that. And whatever you do, don't forget to swing away.